Right, we are live for the 5th Midday Musings. Hold on, I am loud here. Just some feedback while the chat's working. Those of you who are around and that, as always, please just put a message in that chat bar. I'm very nervous about it since it didn't work the last time. Again, I've got the mobile working down here, so it seems to be working. So anyone who is live, please just put a little note in there just to put my mind at ease. It would be very much appreciated. Can you see the hand wave, Adam? There you go. Chris, Michelle, thank you. Perfect. That's all we needed. Serena, hello, hello, hello. Right. Firstly, as always, housekeeping. Keep the chat in the chat. Any questions you get, put in the questions, ask a question tab at the bottom. There's a very simple poll there for anyone who wants to get involved. And there's a call to action for Thursday's Midday Musings, which I'll talk about a little bit at the end of it. But today, delighted to be joined by Adam Gordon from CandidateID. Outspoken, knows his stuff, but most importantly, from my point of view, a huge champion of marketing within recruitment agencies specifically, and an expert in what we're going to be talking about today. Now, when I was thinking about it, and I titled it email marketing or email automation, I thought it's doing it a bit of a disservice in terms of what we're talking about here, because it's a wider thing. It's marketing automation. It's not just email marketing. It's not just personalization, or I know you're big on, Adam. It's marketing automation, isn't it? It's not just about the emails or the platforms or anything you use.
It's difficult to get the right terminology, because when the term marketing automation started becoming prominent, when products like Pardo and Marketo hit the market, people were saying, hold on a second, this doesn't automate marketing. This actually automates sales leads, is what it does. And so Forrester, the analysts, decided, okay, we're not going to call this category marketing automation. We're going to call it lead to revenue management. But of course, that's about 10 syllables, and that just never caught on. So nobody followed that one.
Yeah.
Email is I mean, I don't think it's a terrible thing to use email in the title, because email is by far the biggest driver of demand.
Yeah.
Demand generation is another term which actually I really like, but it's a bit esoteric and difficult to translate to recruitment, because I mean, as you know, the focus that we have is, although our recruitment agency customers are using CandidateID for demand generation on the sort of sales side, you know, we've got candidate in the name of the word of our, the title of our business. And so we've got a big focus on nurturing candidates. So especially in things like STEM type professions, where there are more jobs than there are qualified people saying they're interested. And so creating talent demand is something that I think is important. So talent demand generation is another one. But then what we've settled on recently is talent lead gen.
Yeah.
So demand generation is normally about taking people from being, I am not a customer and I don't even know who you are, or I'm not a candidate and I'm not interested in job opportunities, and driving them through a process, driving them through the ADA funnel. I mean, we call it something different. We talk about candidates who are cold, warm, and hire ready. That's the kind of way that we think about it.
Traffic light system. Yeah.
Yeah, or a traffic light system works just exactly the same way. Yeah. Absolutely. But we certainly think about talent lead gen, because there's so many different things you can do when you are automating certain aspects of marketing, to have hot leads just pinging straight into recruiters' inboxes every single day. Hot client lead. Somebody just looked at the pricing page, email straight goes into the recruiter's inbox to say, Glenn Southam from Deutsche Bank just looked at the pricing page and is in your client pipeline. Go and contact Glenn within the next 24 hours. Yeah. You know,
I like the way you use Deutsche Bank there, because you're usually a lot more innovative with the example companies that you're using in the CandidateID marketing. But I think the other thing is nurturing, isn't it? Nurturing's a big word that people seem to use a lot more now, is, you know, candidate nurturing, client nurturing through platforms such as yourself and others.
Definition of nurture to us is nurture is engagement over time.
Mm-hmm.
And so engagement is a one-off sort of moment in time piece of interaction, whereas nurture is over time. I see so many examples of organizations saying, yeah, we nurture our customers, or we nurture our candidates, and I look at what they're doing, and it's definitely not nurture. It's definitely a sequence of communications, but it's got to evolve. It's got to evolve. So nurture engagement over time. It's actually a bit more than that, because it's got to evolve, and it's got to evolve on a personalized basis.
Yeah, and that's what I think. Yeah, when you talk about like what isn't this kind of thing, like automation. Now it is automation. If you send an email on day one and then 7 days later another email goes, you're automating the process, but it's not, in my mind, the technology, the capability to do marketing automation, lead generation, whatever, is so much more advanced than that. And that comes down to the personalization as well, isn't it? I can still imagine a lot of people think, and they probably do it, and do you know what? I probably still do it with some clients and stuff like that, is personalization, is making sure you have first names, companies, and then you're just putting in those tags that have $signs before it. But that isn't, it is what it is, but at the lowest of the lowest levels, isn't it, of what you can and should be doing.
Yeah, so the big difference, I think, in proper nurture is that people are getting personalized messages which are based on what they clicked last. So what is not real nurture to me is setting up a sequence of emails, one this week, one the next week, one the week after, on a batch and blast basis, which everybody gets the same thing, except for their name is changed and maybe their company name is changed. That's not real nurture. That's just a sequence of communications. So real nurture happens when you're using some kind of automation to determine, well, Glenn didn't click on that. Glenn did not open that email. So the next thing he gets is going to be something which is designed to get him to do something different. Adam did open that email. He then went and looked at this specific piece of communication. He downloaded this white paper, or he clicked on this piece of content asset. And then what Adam gets is automatically determined by what he clicked last.
Yeah,
that's real nurture. So
it's behavior based, isn't it? Rather than kind of, I don't know, like field based in a CRM, effectively.
Yeah. So this is the thing. You can't do proper nurture with a CRM. You just can't. It's not structured in the right kind of way. It doesn't understand enough about what people are clicking on to be able to stream them into a personalized sequence of communications.
HubSpot could HubSpot, like, not to
So HubSpot's got a CRM, but it's also got a marketing automation function. HubSpot CRM, no, absolutely, you can't do nurture with HubSpot
without
CRM, or Bullhorn or any CRM. You cannot do nurture. You could do nurture with HubSpot's marketing automation product. You could do nurture with several other sort of marketing automation products which recruitment businesses sometimes use. But the big difference is that when you set up a candidate record or a client record in a CRM, the unique identifier is the 15-digit code, the unique reference number that's created when you create that candidate or client record. It doesn't look at, so you can have loads of duplicates within that. And therefore, the tracking and scoring that you can do with a proper marketing automation product is not possible within a CRM. It just doesn't know enough. It's not able to determine when somebody moves browsers, or they change devices, or they go and click on things on social media. It's not able to determine that's the same person. Whereas with a marketing automation tool that's designed for nurture, with every click they make, that determines what happens next. And it's because of the way that it tracks and scores. So it uses technology around, cookie tracking and IP recognition, but other technologies which allow you to determine what's somebody's device, what's their location, what's their browser, what's their screen resolution, and lots of other sort of sophisticated tracking technologies. So this is why you can't do it on a CRM.
It's interesting that, because obviously I'm quite a big advocate, and maybe I'm being generalist here, is that marketers within recruitment agencies specifically should be controlling the CRM from a data integrity point of view potentially, but your view is that that's fine, but you're not going to be able to get the marketing performance regardless of how perfect your data is, anything with a CRM as just a standalone.
You can't do anything beyond batch and blast. It doesn't make it. I mean, what you could do is you could create segments of individuals within a CRM, and if you can get it down to like segments of only 10 people in each group, then great. You can do real personalized nurture.
But it's going to be your whole job, isn't it? You're not going to be able to do anything else.
It's unworkable. You can't do that. It's just non-scalable whatsoever. And here's the other aspect to this, which is around personas. So we think about building personas and as being something that's really vital in marketing. It is vital at the beginning when you're thinking about, okay, I want to do some real personalized, create some real personalized experiences for everybody on my database. And I want it to get to the point where, as I mentioned, the absolute utopia is the next thing somebody gets is determined by what they clicked last. That's personalization to the power of one. You can only get there once you've built up enough data about each individual in terms of what content channels, what content formats, what days of the week and times of the day, they're much more likely to actually click. So just going back to the point about a CRM and why you can't do this with a CRM, it's because it's just non-scalable. Whereas if you're able to set out journeys and you set out one set of journeys and you keep building all that with marketing automation, then you don't need to think about personas over time. At the beginning, you probably do, to think about what type of content should I be sending to these financial accountants versus these internal auditors. Okay, yeah. However, after the first couple of clicks that they've started to make, you can determine already, okay, what they're more likely to be interested in and what they're less likely to be interested in. So this is where you can kind of supersede the concept of personas.
Yeah. So some people might have gone through that, some may not have, and you've probably done it with some of your clients. I'm almost certain you have. If someone wanted to start this and they're only thinking about whatever it might be, candidate nurturing, lead generation, whatever it might be, marketing automation, what do they need to do before even say, because I hear it a lot with clients that I work with in the consultancy stuff, is like, oh yeah, we need to do more of this, we need to do more automation, and they just haven't thought about what they actually need to do before even getting to the point of pushing the button. So what kind of needs to be in place before that even happens?
Okay, so I'm gonna emphasize something that I think is really important about recruitment businesses before I answer that question, because this contextual background, if somebody hasn't heard me saying this, they need to know this before listening to what I'm going to say, which is marketing should be the engine room and the profit center for every single recruitment business today. And the reason I say that is because individuals don't like getting interrupted. They don't like getting cold contact. The response rates are going down through like LinkedIn messages or picking up the phone to somebody you haven't got a scheduled meeting with. We don't want it anymore. All of the data shows this. Yet there's a lot of people in our industry and many others who think that it's still the number one most important thing to do. Picking up the phone to people cold is creates a very bad ROI. Yes, you can get salespeople who are really, really good at it, but that's not a scalable model. You've got to treat that person like royalty within your business, and we all know these people. You've got to treat them like royalty within your business, and then you've got a bunch of mid-ranking performers.
Well, it shows, doesn't it, with retention of especially the consultant side on the agency world, is that is it. It's you try and hire as many people who can hit the phones as much as possible. 50, well, at the very best, 50% of them stay. But after 3 months, 50% of 5 people that you've hired, you've already, you've probably spunked the best part of 30, 40 grand up the wall already on salaries and everything else.
Absolutely, it's a real fool's game, that, and it's not. It's something that had to be done when I started in recruitment as a recruitment consultant back in the late 90s. It was the only way to do things, but we have data and we've got technology, which means that is now not in the top 5 best ways of generating hot candidate or client leads. So with that background and me saying that marketing should be the profit center and the engine room for all sales and marketing activities, with recruiters getting hot leads coming in every single day, and all they need to do is go through that call list, whether it's clients or candidates every single day. What that's going to mean is that they're talking to warm leads every single day, and their profitability, the business's profitability, skyrockets. Cost of sale plummets and profitability skyrockets. So with that in mind, and you can eliminate the biggest wastage in recruitment is people cold calling anybody. So, and when I say cold calling, that might be on the phone, or it might be in any other kind of way.
Cold contacting, so,
yeah, exactly. So with that in mind, what we need to think about is what's our objective as an organization? Now, in certain businesses that we know, actually more candidates is not something that they need. They need more qualification, and actually sales leads is the real thing that they need, because they've got plenty of candidates. So it's all about supply and demand on each side. And sometimes we've got a scenario like a company like maybe Adecco, where actually they probably need more sales leads, and the candidates, is not an issue. Whereas there would be other companies like maybe an S3, for example, where you've got, every company in the world is trying to hire Java developers and solutions architects and data scientists. Now, COVID-19 or not, they're not walking about London with sandwich boards saying they're available. So in the scenario like that, actually the sales leads is probably not quite as important. It's the candidate leads that's really the vital thing. Because if you've got the candidates, you can place them at half a dozen different organizations within a couple of days. So what do we need as a business? Do we need more candidates, or do we need more customers? And where's the emphasis on that? And so I think I might have chunked this up a little bit high based on what your question was, which is where do we start? But where we start is, do we need more clients, or do we need more candidates? And it could be it's kind of 50-50, but that's unusual, because normally where it's a 50-50 scenario, actually recruitment's quite easy, and recruitment agencies don't get a lot of business in that area. Normally, it's where actually there's far too many people, and the employer doesn't have the time to deal with all that volume, and they want you to be a filter, or there's not nearly enough people, and they need you to go and be a hunter. So, there's a couple of things that I think are important to consider there. And with every recruitment business, they're in a slightly different place.
Yeah, and I think if I think about it, and it comes down with whatever comes marketing, isn't it? It's like, well, what are you trying to achieve, and work backwards from there in terms of the resources and everything you need as well. And I think a big thing that comes up as well is that if you want to go on this journey through automation, is that you've got to make sure you've got enough to be talking about for people to download, to people to read about, the right messaging as well. Because if you haven't got all that in place, you're not doing anything, are you? You can't automate nothing.
No, that's absolutely true. And I think you need to have a content calendar. You need to have sustainable sources of content. You need to understand what it is that's driving the most interest and what's not. And based on that, you then work out what's going to be the way to get the best rewards with the minimum effort, so that you can really, really scale it. I can tell you a few. I've got about 100 different recommendations on this. If you think about candidate nurture, because that's what most of our customers are spending more time on, because they're in STEM industries, and they're in the hard to reach kind of, hard to identify and get contact with and convert candidate kind of areas, like software engineers and things like that. We think about it in terms of candidates who are cold, candidates who are warm, candidates who are hire ready. Candidates who are cold, what they want is industry insights, skills. They want networking. They don't want job descriptions. They don't want any kind of sales message. They don't want anything that comes across as marketing. That's a really important thing. The very best marketing doesn't look like marketing. Really, really important that. So they want things like skills, industry insights, and things like that. Now, Where do you get those? Recruiters are having conversations every single day, which can be distilled into like, you know, a simple infographic with, it might even just be a picture of the person with a quote from an insight that they've generated. Every single recruiter generates an insight every single day. So if you've got a Slack channel or you've got Teams or something like that that you're using, make sure you've got some way of getting insights constantly coming in from recruiters. Tell them they're going to be famous. They'll like it. Some of them will. Yeah. And then for those who are warm, so that's for those who are cold. We need to think about relationships with candidates from the minute they start in the workforce, workplace, till to the minute that they retire as well. This is really, really important, because as the workforce evolves, people are moving jobs much more often. So as of today, people are moving jobs once every 2.6 years. They are, and that's coming down by a month every year. So every year that goes past, we have to do more recruitment in order to maintain the same size of a company. Okay, so recruitment's becoming more and more important. People move around more. People want to work in different ways, and they want to work in different places as well. And of course, we know a lot of companies are moving towards work from home or work from anywhere. And so because of that, the need to be nurturing people from the minute they enter the workplace to the minute they retire is becoming more and more important. So cold, warm, hire ready. According to LinkedIn, 80% of people are cold today. They're not looking for a job. Sorry, maybe not today during COVID-19. Prior to COVID-19, 80% of people were cold. So they don't want job descriptions and things like that. They want things that are going to be useful and relevant. And if you can make your business a real trusted source of useful, relevant, career-related, content and community, then you've got a big head start. Because when they start to look for a job, they're going to come through the funnel within your funnel. For those who are warm, it's about, right, okay, what do I need to do to prepare for coming into the job market? And then for those that are what we call hire ready, it's, okay, what are the opportunities and that type of thing. So knowing where somebody is in that funnel, that's how you know when to serve up the hot leads into the recruiters automatically. Yeah. Again, I've probably answered that question with a lot of different elements, but sustainable sources of content, really, really vital. Recruiters, absolutely. Things like candidate feedback, ongoing candidate feedback, and getting crowdsourcing content from candidates. Your customers, absolutely. When you're taking that brief from that hiring manager about what they're looking for, get them on camera for 30 seconds. Why do you like to work at Deutsche Bank? Why do you? How do you inspire your team? What are the most important skills somebody needs to get ahead in their career in risk management? Get your customers. You generate credibility through association when you're positioning your customers in the middle of a lot of your communications as well. So yeah.
I think Una, nice to see you here. I think we probably started answering your question as you were typing it. I think brand content strategy is all very important. I think you got to build your brand as well by doing some of this this automation. One thing that people won't know, and if they're starting from afresh, and let's be honest, there's a lot of dead data in a lot of CRMs, especially agency CRMs. And I know, when GDPR was kicking off and everything like that, at CandidateID, you did the Waking the Dead campaigns. I think that's what you called them, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we still do, but we've changed the name during COVID-19. Waking the data is what we call it now.
Yeah, I think that's a good move. But my question is, like, if people don't know at that very initial stage, they don't know whether they're cold, warm, or hire ready. How do they start that initial outreach and messaging? How can that potentially start if they don't have anything?
Yeah, really straightforward tactics at the very beginning, and that is you in the first maybe 4 weeks, something like that. You've got 4 emails which go out. You need to think about personas in this case at the beginning, absolutely. And you need to think about what's some sort of content, a link for something which would be for those people that are cold, and then a second link for something for those people who would be warm, and then a third link for those people who would be higher ready.
That's and then double down on each time depending on how they interact with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would over about 4 weeks, you're gonna get a real good sense of who's cold, warm, higher, ready, because what you do is attach engagement points on a scoring model. I'll maybe talk about scoring model in a minute because this is also important. But if somebody opens your email and they click on a link which is skills for software engineers, but they don't look at anything else, they're cold. The second week they click on the link for someone who's cold, they're cold. Third week, cold. They just remain in cold. When they move on to clicking the link in the middle, which is something for somebody who's maybe warm, which is like, here's some great tips on planning your career in the medium term. Yeah, they move into warm. When they click on, here's the right type of shoes to wear for that interview, they're higher ready. I know that's they're basic examples, but you would have 1 point for somebody looking at the skills for software engineers, 3 points for somebody looking at how to plan my software engineering career, and then 10 points for somebody looking at the best way to dress for a software engineer interview, right? Which is probably turn up on a skateboard and wear Vans or something like that, I would guess. So this is the kind of way to think. A couple of tips around this. A subject swap. So you've got your 4 emails set out for the first 4 weeks. You have a subject swap. Anybody who doesn't open that first email, automatically 2 days later, they get the same communication, same email with a different subject heading. Okay, same with the second week, third week, 4 week. You're going to drive about 15 to 20% more opens by that. The third thing is anybody who doesn't open the subject swap email 2 days later, if you've got mobile numbers for them, automatically they get a call to action through text message. So you've got 3 bites of each week's cherry. Yeah. So what you've got is 4 emails, but you're actually got 12 opportunities for them to interact with it. And then the way to make it easy is, don't write white papers and stuff like that. Use other people's real deep technical content. Use other people's content.
Kind of curate it.
Curate it, absolutely. Curate it. And to be honest, I would definitely say if you want to create a brilliant candidate communications, copy the Lonely Marketers newsletter, or
recruiting brain food,
or recruiting brain food.
Yeah, because the Lonely Marketers newsletter just copied recruiting brain food, so just keep passing it down.
yeah. So I mean, I genuinely would copy that because that's the best way. Exactly the same format every single week. The less thinking you need to do, and the more you can have sustainable. Right? Okay, people like that week, last week. So this one is a similar piece of content. Just slot it into exactly the same place. Barack Obama and Mark Zuckerberg wear exactly the same clothes every day. Steve Jobs obviously did, and they do it because they want to eliminate thinking space. They want to eliminate thinking time in their brains. Do it in exactly the same way in any form of marketing, and you're going to get more done.
Yeah. So you mentioned lead scoring there, and that's a very big thing that obviously you can't do in a CRM. But George, just talk a little bit about that and what it looks like, or what it should look like.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always recommend a balanced scorecard type of model, whereby maybe the y-axis is about subjects. So somebody down at the bottom, 1 point might be something like skills for software engineers, and then in the middle 5 points it might be come along to our networking event in our office and talk to the CTO at some company that is a customer of yours about careers in software engineering. And then at the top it would be take a look at this job description, and that might be 10 points, sends an alert into the recruiter to tell them that Glenn Southam just looked at that job description. So that would be about the actual subjects. In terms of the x-axis, that would be the actual channels and formats. So if somebody opens an email, that's not a meaningful activity, really. You would score that 1 point. If they look at a video, you would score that maybe 5 points, because they're deeper, they are better invested. They are more invested and deeper into the content. And then if somebody's looking at, again, a job description, that might be another content format. So again, high numbers of points. That's the type of balanced scorecard model that I would recommend.
No, that's really interesting. I just want to pick up on William's comment there, and I know we've discussed this. I think we discussed this when you came on the podcast last year. Is that embedding this within a recruitment company can be quite hard, and changing the mindset on the floor. But that's why marketers need to take control, don't they?
I mean, yeah, it is. It's exactly why marketing needs to be the engine room for the business. If I'm a CEO, I mean, I really wish, in some ways, I really wish I'd built a recruitment business, but it's probably too late now. But anyway, if I was building a recruitment business, I would 100% be building it with community as the absolute center of the organization. Community being all the people that work in my organization, all of the people that we serve as customers, and all the people that we serve as candidates. And a community only exists when everybody can talk to each other. So people talk about talent communities when what they mean is an email distribution list, and that's not a community at all. And they do it all the time. Yeah, I've got a community, but you don't. You've got a list of people you're emailing. So
it's like the old LinkedIn groups, isn't it, with 50,000 members, but all that's going on there is people just posting jobs.
Yeah, but actually, I mean, that's true. I mean, that's a really badly engaged community. But based on my definition of community, it still is a community, because people do have the opportunity to actually talk to each other.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the opportunity to talk to each other, then I don't think that works. But in terms of getting this culture and mindset through to the delivery floor, I mean, this is another thing we're talking about. I actually hadn't realized how many bits of terminology existed within recruitment agencies, because my experience has been in-house talent acquisition for a long time, up until really the last 2 years, and I hadn't realized how widespread certain terms were, like describing recruiters as sales. I didn't realize until I joined your WhatsApp group. I didn't realize that everybody does it. So the delivery floor, the sales, it's like a stock exchange. I don't know, the trading floor is like. I really hope that we get to a point, and I can see it in some companies. There's a brilliant recruitment business near Glasgow called Solutions Driven, and their recruiters are talent consultants. And those talent consultants are dealing with only engaged candidates and only engaged customers. They've got sourcers and they've got marketers whose job is to be the traction beam, to actually just bring everybody in. And then the recruiters are talent consultants. So they're not like heavily commissioned people. They genuinely are consultants. They are experts, and they would never be described as salespeople. So
I think it's come up in a few of the webinars. I think it happened very early on, the first one with Richard, getting people involved in campaigns and not to labour the point too much, but if you want to start this journey and it hasn't really happened, is choose a segment of your audience or your target candidates or clients, and just say, we're doing this. Don't take no for an answer type thing. Do it, plan it out, get the wins, start delivering those hot leads, create that proof of concept for yourself, and then roll it out. Because like you say, it's not going to work if you haven't got that process in for people following up on those warm leads. I've certainly done it back in the day when it was old school, throw it through MailChimp or .mailer it might have been. All I'd do would print off a CSV file with a list of people who had opened an email more than 3 times and say, here guys, go and follow that up. And that would just be hot leads. And there's so much more you could give people now though, isn't there?
Yep. Absolutely. So I think to respond to what William's point is though, I think there's a few things about this. The first is just JFDI, get on with it. Yeah. JFDI, really important. Events. events are really important when it comes to communities, because they're the things that give people the opportunity to talk to each other. Now, an event could be something in your office. It could be something at a third-party location. It could be a meetup. It could be 6 people on a meetup. It doesn't need to be 30 people. It could be 6 people. It could be the equivalent of a dinner. I did one last week. I did one with RPO leaders, and there was 10 of us on the meeting. We did it online like this, and it was just a follow up from an actual in-person dinner we had in London a year ago. But quite honestly, people were happy to do it from their garden sheds and things. So events is something that I think is the first thing to think about when it comes to communities.
Well, it's a chance to capture as well, isn't it? It's a chance to capture data, whether it's offline, anything. It's you can start putting them into those whatever those buckets might be for the ongoing lead gen and nurturing.
Yeah, and you do not need to ask their permission to do this. You go and do it because it's marketing. And the other thing is, I think Richard said it as well, which is actually getting VIPs to come and talk at your event or come and join your event is something that marketing possibly will have better success with than recruiters will. So actually you're in a good position to be able to get people to come and do it. Now, what you need to think about is who has got something to gain from coming and talking at this event. So you've got an event, whether it's online or offline, you've got an event which is going to which is for all of your software engineer candidates. Okay, which company is hiring heavily? Fine, go and find the CTO for that business. Get them to come and talk about how they became CTO. What was their career journey? Yeah, those software engineers who are ambitious are going to want to come and hear how that person did it. So if you make it seem exclusive, it's a two-sided marketplace. That person is going to want to be in front of all these potential candidates for the future, because that person's building their software engineering team. Clearly you need to create some kind of a relationship whereby actually if they can't just go and start hiring people that came along to that event. So you might want to put some kind of contract in place or something like that. But that's a really good way to do it. But the other thing is working with the recruiters that are leaning in. Whoever's the best engaged with you, tell them that you're going to do it. Tell them that they should be part of it, and they're going to get more clients or more candidates as a result of working with you on this. And once you've done it, you might do it discreetly. Do it discreetly, and then as you start getting results, make that wider. Tell everybody else. Within 12 months, every single person is going to want to be involved, and they're going to feel it's a privilege to be involved with you.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned it on Janine's episode as well. Is like events, take iPads, get people's emails in there, because as soon as someone puts an email into your event, going on your scoring model, you assign them something straight away, because then post-event they're starting whatever journey you've created, haven't they? And you're already quite far down the line in that sense.
A lot of our customers are doing it every day. They've got events happening every day, and they've got niche events happening every day. This is not even big companies. I'm talking about medium-sized companies, small and medium-sized companies, where they've got lots and lots of niche events, because that's part of their ongoing sales and marketing, and it's a big part of it. They've got sequences. They've got communication sequences already set up, whereby the person signs up to attend the event, or if it's in person, they turn up and they do sign in at the event on the iPad or whatever it is. But when they do that, what that does is it triggers a message to go out that says, "What did you think about the event?" Another message that happens if they fill in that form, something different happens. If they don't fill in the form, a reminder goes out or something. You can set up lots of really smart journeys, different journeys based on what they've done and what they haven't done.
Yeah.
So, what they haven't done, sorry, Glenn, to interrupt. People not doing something. If they don't do something, by the way, that is communication.
Don't ignore it. Yeah.
They are communicating if they're not doing something. So
yeah,
that's really
good point. Yeah, I think that, like you said, on the cold stuff, I think sometimes we're guilty of it. Is like you said, someone might not open an email, and you might send them that follow up of, just chase it up, or putting an RE in the subject, like some of the road companies out there. But use that as the insight, isn't it, to change, to adapt, and like you're saying, you mentioned subject lines and things like that. It's as valuable, if not more valuable, than the other stuff, because it's likely to be of more volume. it's a more potential customers, the cold stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And Williams just made another point here, which is that that's where it's going, and I really believe that's where it needs to go. You've got talent consultants and talent marketers, and talent consultants and talent marketers. In the very best recruitment businesses I know, there's probably one person who's got a marketer job title for every group of recruiters. Every 5 recruiters has got one person who looks after all of their top of the funnel client and candidate communications, so that recruiters are only working in middle and bottom of the funnel.
Yeah, no, it should be. It makes complete sense that it should be. Unfortunately, there's still those old school businesses. But I think you mentioned it on the podcast. If you're a marketer and you want to do this stuff, and you're banging and you're banging and you're banging on the door, and you're still getting pushed back with stuff, there is a question of well, if you want to do it and you believe it's going to get results, are you in the right business for you?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I really do. And now is not the time for people to be telling their boss to F off. I don't think there's enough jobs around for everybody to do that. However, I had absolutely no idea that so many marketers in recruitment businesses were being given Word documents and asked to jazz them up. I had no idea. The answer's got to be no. The answer has got to be no. I am not doing your PowerPoint documents. I am not doing any of your basic shit. And your objectives need to be around, in my business, certainly, and I know my business is not a recruitment business, but in my business, my marketing team has got one objective, and that is it. And that is software demos. And it doesn't matter what they do to get that. That's the only objective. So it's almost a sales objective. So marketing teams do need to be, here is another thing that's really important. I meet marketers who are absolutely obsessed with what something looks like, rather than what the data it's going to generate is and what the success of that thing is. They want to win awards for creativity rather than winning sales. And that's not the right way to be. You're definitely not in the right industry if that's your way. And I meet quite a lot of people who are like that. So I would be agreeing with the CEO. If I'm a marketer in a recruitment business, I'd be agreeing with the CEO. So as Una said, what about strategy and brand and stuff like that? So what is the company's objective? It's probably going to be increased revenue. Okay. Yeah. Therefore, increased revenue, where's that going to come from? It's going to come from more candidates coming to us as the first place they go when they're looking for a new job. Okay. So my objective for you is going to be more candidates coming into this business that the recruiters can place. Are you happy that is my one objective? The CEO is going to say yes, because that's their objective. That's going to help them meet their objective. So therefore, when the recruiter says, sends over, a Word document and says, "Can you jazz this up?" The answer is no. Do it yourself.
Yeah, it's getting. Una's right there as well. Going back to the model stuff, it's rewards, remuneration. It's that hasn't changed. God knows. I don't think the starting salary for a lot of rookie consultants has changed in 20 years. I still think in London it's still 18 to 20 grand or something like that. Yeah.
Mine was 16 in 1999.
Yeah. So
when I started, my basic salary was 16. Yeah. But I'll tell you what has changed. What I know from a lot of companies, it has changed. The amount of money they're billing has gone down. In the year 2000, I billed 180 grand. In my I did 6 months in 1999, and then in 2000, I billed 180 grand. I was average for my business, 15 grand a month. A lot of companies it's a race to the bottom, and they're hiring as many people as possible, who, if they hit 8 grand, then that's a good month's work done.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's like pile them high and sell it cheap. I don't understand. It's a non-profitable model, and so much stress hiring all these people. But what Una said about the remuneration needs to change. Absolutely. I don't think people that are handling candidates should be on commission. I don't think they should be doing that. I think they should be genuine talent consultants. So you should have almost a business partnering layer, which is the delivery floor, if you call it. Those people are not salespeople. You need a sales team whose job, and a lot of people who are good at recruitment. A lot of recruiters are good at one or other, some elements of recruitment, but it's such a wide and varied job today. I don't think being a great sales animal is necessarily the right, skill set for all the different elements of recruitment which are involved today.
I think remuneration as well. I think you should look at it for the marketers watching. Look at it for the marketers. If this is a route that you think will work, and as Adam said, the data's pointing towards it, is that why shouldn't you be remunerated on results, not just getting your salary and maybe a bonus at the end of the year, depending on how the company does. You know, if you really believe in your own ability and your own skills, and you get all of the resources that you believe you need to execute, why don't you push for remuneration based on results, hot leads, and deals ultimately as well?
It's where it works best. I really do. I see several companies, and actually the Dutch are ahead of us. More Dutch companies work on this basis, whereby there might be a team of 6 people. There's one of them who is in charge of the top of the funnel and has the marketing skill set, and then the other 5, they're responsible for filling jobs. But actually, they do, as a team, they've got either a team target, or that person who's got the marketer job, the marketer stroke, the candidate generation or client generation job. That person's getting a share of everything and they can see it trickling down. Okay, I've served up 20 candidates into the team today or this month, and 4 of those got placed. So I'm taking 25% of each one of those.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. No, it's definitely worth looking at. But like Uda says, it is especially here in the UK, it's a big change, and it will be a leap of faith, and it will be starting at probably, let's be honest, now it will be starting at those businesses that either start up post COVID. That's where the lead needs to happen, because let's be honest, it's not going to happen in any of the big boys, is it? They're successful ultimately in making money, delivering to shareholders a lot of the time, but it's going to be a lot harder in that sense, I would have thought.
Well, yes, although most big recruitment businesses have got like mega digital transformations happening. Whether their intention is to change their model around people, I don't know, but they've all got big digital transformations happening. Michael Page does, Hayes does, and I think that's definitely good. But what it's aimed to deliver, I don't know what it's aimed to deliver.
Yeah,
but
it comes back to those objectives, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think for the majority of people probably watching, they're in that small to medium sized recruitment businesses where I think if you start implementing and getting some of this automation nurturing down and everything like that, get into it, because you'll be able to have a big impact at a very early stage in some of these agency businesses that everyone wants to do it. They want to grow at some point, and if you can start playing a role in being able to be a revenue generator right now at a personal level, it's only going to benefit you. I just want to coming up to gone over 45 minutes, so coming up to the hour type thing, what can people do kind of right now? Obviously they can call you up and ask for a CandidateID demo, and they can jump out and look at other platforms that they might want to think, oh shit, MailChimp's really not good enough for what we need to do. But what are some real practical steps that people can take now on this automation type journey?
So I do a lot of workshops, like 60-minute workshops with marketing teams and internal talent acquisition teams as well, to talk to them about, okay, what are you doing today and what do you need to do? The most important thing is, of course, beyond what's our organization's strategy, our strategy, and therefore what's our objectives around that strategy, it's got to be, okay, how am I going to really scale this up and make it like successful, widespread success? So content, really vital. Data and like segmentation of candidates and segmentation of customers, really important as well. And then sort of all the planning around that. So thinking about all those things is really important. Drip feeding honey into the ear of your CEO is also really vital. So there's some of the sorts of things that I would recommend.
Kind of create a business case, isn't it? I think create a business case, and if you can find recruitment businesses, or not even recruitment businesses, where this is working and driving revenue, is bring that together and show, look, if we do X, we're going to get Y. Believe in me. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And Williams just talked about within HubSpot, for example, you can easily see marketing's contribution to the sales pipeline. You can see it within some of these products, and I think that going and taking a look at every case study you can find about how other recruitment businesses have gone and created a much better model. There's a company called the Mullings Group in the United States. Take a look at them. This is a community. This is a community for people in medtech. It's a community.
They're a media business, aren't they? It comes across more like a media business.
It is. It is a media business and community who happens to get funded by filling jobs and by companies paying them to maintain that community and being that media business. Yeah. So go and take that's probably the best example I've got is the Mullings Group, but there are a bunch of other really good examples as well.
Yeah. Excellent. Cool. Yeah, good point, John. I think you're right there. The tracking and the data is available, a bit like William's point. And Una, I think there'll be a lot of marketers reading that or be nodding in agreement. I think they'd love that. I think at the last count, I was working it out. There was probably one marketer for, every 30, 35, sorry, Adam, sales consultants as well, which is, a ratio that obviously we'd love to get down, but one for every 35 is insane. Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally agree with John. I come across businesses where there's one marketer in the business and there's 100 recruiters. It happens. I mean, you've actually, I mean, you know some of them. It's crazy. This is why there was one at one point. Well, this is why they're lonely. And Una's point again is John's point absolutely valid. Una's point totally agree. Here is one other thing though, in terms of marketing, and I see it happening quite a lot, is that a marketer within a recruitment business, including within internal talent acquisition teams, they often end up becoming almost like the sort of solutions architect, because a lot of what they're doing is really around making technology work inside the business to serve candidates and clients better, to create better experiences for them, and to serve recruiters better as well. That's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing, and it's a good position. And this is, backs up my thinking that the marketers within recruitment businesses, they need to be the engine room. So when I say the engine room, I'm not just talking about in terms of traditional marketing. I'm absolutely talking about being the demand generation center, and a lot of that is being what I would call rec ops. So it's recruitment operations. It's all about the technology as well. I know within one very large recruitment business, I know at least one person who has actually moved out of marketing and into IT to be a solutions architect for the business partner from IT to the marketing area. So that's something else that,
Cool. All right, marketers, time to step up. Thanks, Adam. I think brilliant insight. You know your stuff, and I think, look, if anyone wants to get in contact with Adam and you're not connected with him, connect with him on LinkedIn. He shares lots of those example journeys with various men and women who work for, Morgan Stanley and KMPG and things like that. So Adam's got lots of examples of what it can look like in these journeys. So connect with him. And I'm sure we'll be happy to share that. Next week, or not next week, this Thursday, Sarah Wall from Darwin, we're talking about international marketing and the challenges that you have there if you're in multiple locations and short on resources, which will be interesting. I think, I've been in that position as well, which is a big challenge. But as ever, thank you for everyone who's got involved today, and we're done and dusted. Thanks, Adam.
I'm just going to add. I'm going to add one comment in the comment chat, because there's something that William said which I wanted to respond to. So I'm just going to type it in here. So,
all right. So go on, you can say it. We've got time. You can say it.
Okay. Really quickly, what William said about HubSpot being able to deliver all that sort of stuff. That's true. To make this all scalable, you really, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me saying this, but you really want your recruiters to be doing their own candidate nurture and their own client nurture. So, HubSpot's a brilliant tool, but it's not the tool that recruiters are going to be using. So you want to be able to make this really widespread to scale it up so that you can maybe control the framework. And if you've got recruiters able to do their own much better email automation, text message automation, and things like that, that's when, I think things really, really scale.
Get exciting. Cool. All right. And this time we are ending. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Adam. See you later.